Hello everybody. So today I'm going to make another video about why it can be so hard to find people to date unless you have met your partner in high school or in college. After that, it becomes increasingly difficult because so many people are working from home, and the people who are going to get married are likely already pairing up in their 20s. They meet in college. The marriage rate among college educated people is extremely high. It's almost 100%. And if you don't get married in college, you are at a disadvantage in finding someone to begin with. So many things have changed also, in that people are discouraged from dating at work, and so many people are working from home. So that's the first factor. That has always been a factor. And as the marriage rate, our dating age, has kind of increased, people want to spend their 20s building their careers. The number of eligible singles by your late 20s is pretty small. You have a smaller pool to choose from. I think another big factor too is that we have approached dating from a different point than we ever did throughout our history. Throughout history, we dated people that we met in real life. They could have also been arranged marriages by our parents, or just people that we saw in our neighborhoods or at school or at work or at church or at the gym or whatever, or they were introduced to us by friends. This idea of finding someone online is extremely challenging. The only people benefiting there are the top 10 or 15% of men who are super hot that all the women want, because women always want the hottest guys, the most successful guys. That's just what we like. And men always want the most beautiful women, but they can't get them unless they're successful. So those apps, you can meet someone on there. I'm curious if anyone who's watching this video met someone on a dating app in the last 10 years. I think it used to be a lot easier, but they've really devolved into more like a hookup site, and that's only benefiting the hottest guys on there, the most successful, charismatic guys on there, while the other men are getting nothing, and most of the women are getting nothing except getting hit up by all these guys they don't like, and the guys that just want to fuck them. Now, why do so many men have a bad experience on there? Because historically, we met in real life. We got to see someone repeatedly over time, and that familiarity and slowly getting to know someone is how we typically develop attraction. This idea of I have to feel attraction immediately is actually unhealthy. It's unhealthy. Ladies, this is especially for you. If you think that a guy is right for you because you instantly feel attracted or instantly feel aroused, you're operating from your promiscuous attraction system, which relies on immediate arousal, and you're bypassing the more healthy way or alternate way of the pair bonding attraction system, where you get to know a guy over time and he becomes like of increased value in your eyes because of the familiarity and seeing him and seeing how he responds and how he shows up at work or at school. And that's something I read about in Mats Larsson's book. He is a Norwegian researcher researching the declining fertility rate worldwide. A big factor in that is gender equality and birth control. And confluent love. Confluent love means I'm only going to love you when it feels good, as long as it feels good. And historically, people didn't get married for love. Getting married for love is only a few hundred years into our history. Usually we got married out of need or necessity or arranged marriages. But now that women make their own money, and in this urbanized society where nobody has to do any farming, we're all pretty much reduced to the gig economy or office work for the most part. There's not much difference between men and women, and so it lowers the attraction level. I really do think that men who are in more physical jobs like construction, being an electrician, a plumber, an oil rig worker, something physical, you are going to be, even though you might not make as much money as like a lawyer or a doctor or a CEO, you are developing, you're more in your masculine qualities, and I would think that women are attracted to you even if you don't make a lot of money. That's otherwise, if I work in an office, you work in an office, we make the same money. It's hard to feel attracted. Also, historically, women evolved to want a man who can add value in terms of some kind of value like resources or status or provisioning or security. That's what makes us feel more attracted and wanting to be sexually open. Whereas men will just want to be sexually open with just about anyone, but they want the most attractive woman. It's just really harder for women to feel this pair bonding attraction system with this online dating thing. And like I said, with people waiting longer to get married and wanting to find the perfect person, so you break up with one person in your 20s and then another person in your 20s, instead of just finding one person, marrying them, except for the college educated people who are still getting married, almost all of them. Like 90% of men who are college educated are married by their early 30s, and their divorce rate is only 7%. So when we look at what's going on, we have to really break it down into markets. I think another factor is the promise of birth control. It promised that we could have all this free sex. Everyone could just have sex, 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 sex. And as it turns out now, since it's been going on only for 60 years, which is very relatively new in human experience, it's not benefiting anyone except these top guys who have a lot of options and they want to fuck a lot of women, and they can because women think, oh, this guy will fuck me, he can date me. So for women, sex is an entryway to this is a guy I want to date. Whereas for guys, like using a toilet, he's got to relieve himself, and he'll do this woman, then this woman, and this woman. After all, why go twice to the same woman, although he might? And so the majority of men and almost all women are not benefiting from this hookup culture. That's what we've realized now, because women are like, well, we don't really like to just have sex one time and have a guy blow us off. Like, we don't really like this. And now women are starting to talk about it. So this, these human experiments, basically, these on ourselves are showing us that courtship actually had an important role. Courtship had a great role. It really allowed us to use our pair bonding attraction system, and it gave guys who weren't like immediate knockouts a chance to get a woman. I really think we need to get back to the pair bonding attraction system and not look for someone who's immediately perfect. I really think that people ought to try to partner up in their 20s, because if you wait for this perfect person, you may never find them. I never found my perfect person, but I'm glad I didn't, because otherwise I would have been one of these ladies that never got married and got to experience marriage. So I really, really think that people have to not look for their perfect person if they want that experience of marriage and being a parent. There are some people who do meet their perfect person, perfect for them, but not everyone will. That's another myth, that everyone has like this soulmate or other half or perfect person. Not everyone is going to get that perfect person. Not everyone is going to have a perfect job or perfect health or a perfect children or perfect parents or a perfect living environment. Like, I live in San Diego and the weather's almost always beautiful. Not always, but it's pretty darn good. And someone else could live in a small town in, Florida. It's like swampy hot most of the year. I wouldn't want to live in Florida. Sorry if you like Florida. Maybe I shouldn't pick on any cities or states. But, no person is perfect, but you can have a really good match. Like, I love the weather in San Diego, but would I want to live in Alaska? It's going to be super cold. The days are going to be super short. So in that way, when people have their perfect person and they look down on someone who didn't find their perfect person, I think that they're missing the point that not everyone is going to meet that perfect person. Everyone is going to have different challenges in their life. And the people who found their perfect person may have not had their perfect parents or their perfect children or their perfect health or their perfect finances or their perfect living situation or friendships or something. Okay? So this video is just to say that if you're not meeting anyone on the dating apps, it's because we're not designed to meet people thumbing through a brochure. We are designed to meet people in real life through social interactions. And since relationships are social, people who want to date really need to be in socially engaged. We are not designed to sit home. I mean, like, I can sit home as much as I want because I don't want to date anymore. I'm not interested. But if I were dating, the idea of just sitting at home and swiping always felt a little off to me. Like, you can't deliver a relationship by DoorDash or Instacart. You have to be a social person who gets out, because interacting with someone requires talking with people, engaging with people, having empathy, knowing how to be in a conversation. And especially for men have it much more difficult in that they have to make something of themselves to be attractive to women. They need some redeeming value. Like, you have to be able to talk to women, for one. And the only way to do it is to get practice if you don't have any. You have to have, like, you have to either be funny or have some kind of status, or not just money, but ambition, personality, some kind of drive, something to add value. As far as women go, men don't really require that much. They're like, she has a vagina and she's hot and she's reasonably nice, so I'm down. You guys are just not that picky unless you're trying to get married. Just because you guys aren't that picky doesn't mean that we have it easier, because we as women often feel like, well, we're all the good guys. Well, we have to get out there and interact with each other more so that you can show us that you are one of the good guys. So the reason that people are having a harder time dating after their late 20s is because they're working from home. They're told they shouldn't date at work. They're relying on apps, which is not a way that we historically ever matched up. And we're not designed to build attraction that way, just lust, frankly. And birth control gave us the idea that we can just all fuck with however we want. It doesn't serve us. We've lost the courtship and the romancing. I think the idea that the housing prices are really high has made people feel like a little bit more insecure about settling down with someone. And of course, the gender equality. It's hard to be attracted to someone who's exactly like you. Like a guy, if you're a construction worker, how likely are you going to be attracted to a very butchy construction worker woman? I mean, she has a vagina, but she's not going to be like attractive to you, like the sweet barista with her pretty hair up and her makeup and serving you coffee, which is a more feminine job, or the teacher. And the same way, if I'm a woman who's a lawyer and I'm at the office with a guy who's also a lawyer and he's making as much money as I do, it's hard to feel attracted. But if some really, masculine looking guy comes in to give an estimate on replacing the air conditioning, or the construction worker comes in and he's like got a beard and muscles and the tools, I'm going to feel attracted to him. So this gender equality and women not dressing feminine anymore and men just trying to make themselves into urban office workers, I think that gender equality has also lowered people's attraction to each other. So to build attraction, I think that women ought to start being like a little bit more feminine, men being a little bit more masculine. And to bring back the idea of courtship, and to be aware of the pair bonding attraction system. And so many women are used to, I need to feel instantly attracted. I've realized, like, already like 5 or 10 years ago, feeling instantly attracted is not a good idea. It's a red flag for probably just lust, and I think that our society, as we go forward, has to find more venues for people to interact, engage socially, even for single people to engage socially in co-ed spaces where both men and women want to go, because a lot of men don't want to go to like a book club or a coffee club or Pilates or spaces where women typically go, but they might want to, and then, they might want to watch a sports game or go to a cigar bar or an auto show, and those are not spaces that women typically want to go. So what are some co-ed spaces that we can create? Because after high school and college, we're not really around single people so much. Those spaces are, everybody's single in high school. And a lot of people, I mean, I've met so many people who married their high school sweetheart. That is a thing, your first love, or who met their partner in college, either in undergrad or in grad school, in medical school, in law school. This is very common. But then once you get out and you're told you can't date at work, what are these other spaces where people are going to meet if they're not going to get married to the person they met in college? Or what if they're not going to college? I think we have to bring back it's okay to date at work. Asking women out is not creepy. And that there have to be like more co-ed spaces where both men and women enjoy. Like if you were in a relationship, what would you do with your partner? You would do stuff that you don't necessarily want to do. Maybe she wants to go to the opera and you don't, but you go. Maybe he wants to go to a football game at the sports bar and you don't want to go, but you go. Or he wants to go to the car show, so you go. So maybe we have to be willing to go into these spaces where the opposite sex likes to be, because when you're in a relationship, you have to be willing to try new things. I think it also has to be made okay to speak to people at the gym. And again, when you're at the gym, I really recommend just talking to everyone, especially same-sex people. If I see a guy just talking to women, and they say that that's attractive to women, to me it's not. I'm like, he's just a player. To me, that I lose interest. But a guy who can talk to other guys, now that is attractive. So if you're talking to other guys and then occasionally you're talking to women, it's not going to be creepy. But if you're only talking to the women, that's kind of a red flag to me. Same way for the ladies. Speak to the other women, be willing to say hi to guys, and eventually, these social interactions build on each other, and you never know who you're going to meet, when, what opportunities come up. And just to get in this idea of just like starting to say hi to people and being more friendly. That's really all I've got. I'm going to leave the comments on going forward. One thing I have realized is that people only get nasty comments when they speak about their personal dating experiences. It brings out the wounded people of the opposite sex. When I was talking about anything about my marriage or my dating experiences, it brought out the manosphere guys who were super angry and left nasty comments. And also when people have like strong opinions about politics, that tends to bring things out. But when people just report the news or just report on facts or just have some kind of insights that are kind of neutral, it doesn't bring out any vitriol. So what I decided to do already is keep my public channel like pretty neutral so that there's no chance of antagonizing anyone. And then the more personal experiences that I've had that could antagonize some people, on YouTube, those will be in the members area only, and there I will for sure reply to the comments. So that's how I decided to tease it out, and I'm not going to interact with the comments like I used to. Some people said you should always leave the comments on, and I had to turn them off for a while to kind of figure out what was happening and how I wanted to do it going forward. So that's how I'm going to do it going forward. I think it's more fun for people to engage. There are some really great comments. I might read them, I might not. I just decided that changing my content for the personal things to be behind the paywall is a better way of dealing with it, because it's hard for people. Like this video I just made, I doubt anyone's going to get triggered by it. But if I in this video would have talked about some of the experiences I had in my marriage or with dating guys, some guys would have been like super upset and start blaming me for everything that happened and calling me all kinds of names. So in order to avoid that, I'm going to do my more vulnerable shares behind the paywall, because I do like doing them and I think they have value and they're interesting stories, but I want to be able to tell them in a way that's just entertaining without, being piled up on. Also, notice there's someone I watch. He's like a geopolitical analyst, and he does his videos walking around. And someone in the comments started like laying in on him about, where he lives, as he's walking around, that it's not as pretty as where he lives. I'm like, people can be so rude. And it's kind of a spiritual practice to catch ourselves, because people become unconscious. They get triggered, they become unconscious, and they become their anger. They lose who they are, they become their anger, they become their vitriol. They start projecting whatever is like, I gotta just say this person to this person. One thing I've been working on, and it's super freaking hard, you guys, is somebody's annoying or says something triggering, and I'm like, I gotta say something, and it's to like take a breather and be like, I don't have to react. I don't have to react. I don't have to leave a comment. I can leave a comment, but I don't have to. That's a spiritual practice, and that quality in men is very attractive. One thing to look for in men who, before dating a man, is someone who's emotionally stable, who doesn't fly off the handle easily or get super possessive or jealous or angry, and to look for women who are emotionally stable. Also, women who are like really moody are red flags. I would avoid them, guys. And people who get easily irritated, easily angry, who have no empathy, who try to control you or belittle you, those are people to stay away from in dating, by the way, because they are abusive. Like, men who are abusive, they're more likely to hit you, but there are also women who hit men. They feel entitled to do it. That's what it's about. It's entitlement. It has nothing to do with your childhood. It's entitlement. Like, I feel entitled to go off on you, so I'm going to. I have a right. I feel this way, and I have a right to tell you. And that comes from growing up in a home where there were few boundaries, and that's what was exemplified and accepted. I have a right to tell you whatever I think and whatever I feel. And if you don't like it, you're the problem. That's how many women and men feel. And that's just something to be aware of. But the people who do that don't want to change. But some people do want to change. So that's something I really work on. It's like, okay, am I going to reply to this, or am I going to ignore this? Especially when people contact me for coaching, or men try to find me on social media. They try to come at me with all kinds of things, and I just learned it's better just ignore people like that. I think a lot of it just goes to spam, frankly, anyway. I don't know. Anyway, thank you so much for watching my video. The comments are going to be back on, and yeah, so have fun in the comments, and thank you for watching my video. By the way, I took my Christmas tree down already. It's gone. I took the Christmas tree down and reorganized my storage. So I'm going to do some more organizing today, taking out stuff to Goodwill, just like starting to do some like cleaning. And I got the bike with the flat tires back there. And see, I shouldn't have shown you guys that. Some guy's going to get really upset about the flat tires. But if you get upset about the flat tires, you can leave a comment. I don't care. I think the comments we leave reflect more on the person leaving the comment. I think the comments reflect the person who's actually writing it. So you want to make yourself look good. Leave a comment that shows that you have grace and professionalism. Like, what would Princess Di do? What would the Queen of England do? Or not Prince Andrew, we already know what he would do. Or Meghan Markle, we already know what she would do. But think of someone of class and be like, what would they say? Anyway, I've said too much. I'm going to go now. Thank you for watching my video.